If you are cruising into Vancouver or starting your Alaska cruise from here and you assume it is a quick airport to ship dash, this is the port that quietly punishes you. Vancouver is one of the few cruise stops where the city itself is as good as the cruise, and most passengers fly in the morning, run for the gangway, and miss it completely. So this is the comprehensive guide. It explains how the port actually works, the airport-to-ship logistics that catch first-timers out, every realistic Vancouver day worth doing on either side of an Alaska cruise, the food, and the practical traps that cost you Vancouver before you even get to Alaska. Your ship docks at Canada Place, the white sail roof terminal on the downtown waterfront. No transfer, no shuttle, no tender. You walk off into the heart of the city. Gastown is a flat 10-minute walk east. The start of Stanley Park is 20 minutes west, and Granville Island is a short aquabus ride south across False Creek. This is one of the most walkable cruise ports anywhere, and that single fact changes how you should plan the day. Before you walk anywhere, cover the airport piece first. From Vancouver International, the SkyTrain Canada Line runs directly to Waterfront Station, across the street from Canada Place, in 25 minutes for around $10 Canadian. Look for the Canada Line signs at the airport. A taxi or rideshare runs $35 to $45 and takes longer in traffic. Cruise line transfers are the most expensive and least flexible, and they make you wait for the slowest passenger on the bus. Skip them. The single biggest decision at this port is when you arrive. If Vancouver is your embarkation port for Alaska, flying in on the morning of the cruise is the most common mistake we see. One delayed flight, one missed connection, and the ship sails without you. Arrive the day before. You sleep off the time change and you actually see Vancouver instead of running through Canadian customs in a panic. If Vancouver is your disembarkation port, the logic flips. Book a flight after 1 in the afternoon, ideally later, so customs and traffic do not decide your day. Disembarkation at Canada Place clears most passengers by 9:30, but on a 4-ship morning, it can stretch later. The 11 a.m. flight you book to save a hotel night is the one that costs you the cruise. A quick note on tours. Cruise line excursions are easy, but you often pay much more for the same experience. Local tours usually offer smaller groups, better value, and more time at the actual sites instead of waiting in big groups. The reputable ones know cruise timings cold and build in a sensible return buffer. In Vancouver specifically, the city itself is so walkable that a self-guided morning works beautifully. A tour earns its money when you want to reach Capilano Suspension Bridge or Grouse Mountain on the North Shore because the shuttle and the ticket are easier to arrange than doing it yourself. Now, the day itself. The simplest version, and for most cruisers the best one, is the downtown walking loop, Gastown, Stanley Park, and Granville Island, done in a comfortable half-day on foot and one short ferry hop. Gastown is the original Old Town, 10 minutes east of Canada Place along the waterfront. Cobbled streets, red brick from the late 1800s, and the famous steam clock on Water Street that whistles every quarter hour. Here's the detail almost nobody on the cruise knows. The steam clock looks Victorian, but it was built in 1977, and the only reason it exists is that the city couldn't shut off a steam vent in the sidewalk. Vancouver has an underground district heating system that pipes steam from a central plant to downtown buildings, and one of the vents at the corner of Water and Cambie was producing waste steam onto the street. Rather than cap it, the city commissioned a local horologist to build a clock that runs on the leftover steam. It's the only public art piece in the world powered by a city's heating bill. From Gastown, walk west along the waterfront, and you'll be at the start of Stanley Park in another 20 minutes. Stanley Park is a 1,000-acre forested peninsula reaching into the harbor, and the Seawall path that loops its edge is the world's longest uninterrupted waterfront walking path. 17 miles of connected seawall from Cole Harbor around Stanley Park, across False Creek, and out to Spanish Banks, all of it on the water. You don't have to walk all of it. A loop of Cole Harbor and partway around Stanley Park is one of the great urban walks in North America, and it's free You'll pass totem poles at Brockton Point, a small lighthouse, a swimming beach, and dense old-growth cedars with the city skyline behind you. If you only do one thing today, make it this. If the weather turns and Vancouver weather turns, the Vancouver Aquarium is inside Stanley Park, the largest in Canada, and the indoor exhibits with Pacific octopus, sea otters, and the beluga research tanks are a real rainy afternoon option. For lunch, the call is Granville Island, 10 minutes from Canada Place by little aquabus ferry, and the public market on it is the food story of Vancouver. Candied salmon, small smoked and sweetened nuggets of Pacific salmon, fresh oysters, a poutine counter where chips, cheese curds, and gravy come together in a paper cup, and dim sum stalls that hint at how big the Chinese food culture is in this city. Pick 3 or 4 small things, sit on the wooden boardwalk outside, and watch the kayaks paddle past. Worth knowing while you're standing there, Granville Island isn't an island in any natural sense. It was a coast Salish fishing sandbar, the Squamish village of Seawall, until the city dredged False Creek and built a seawall around the sandbar in 1916. By the 1930s, 1,200 people worked here making rope and shipping supplies, and they called it Industrial Island. The public market only opened in 1979 in a building that used to be a factory. If your cruise day calls for the rainforest rather than the city, the answer is the North Shore, the chain of mountains directly across the harbor from Canada Place, 25 minutes away by free shuttle. The headline attraction is Capilano Suspension Bridge, built in 1889, 450 feet long and 230 feet above the Capilano River. It is the oldest tourist attraction in Vancouver. The park has the bridge itself, a treetops adventure walk through the cedar canopy, a cliff walk cantilevered out of the granite face, and a small First Nations cultural area. Plan for a realistic 3-hour visit, longer if you eat there. The smarter version of the same idea is Lynn Canyon Suspension Bridge, 20 minutes further along the North Shore. It is free, there is no entry fee, it is 160 feet above Lynn Creek, and it sits inside an actual rainforest park with hiking trails to a clear water swimming hole called Twin Falls. It is smaller than Capilano and has none of the cantilevered extras, but the canyon itself is more dramatic, and the experience feels like a real British Columbia forest day rather than a built attraction. Higher up the same mountain is Grouse, accessed by the Skyride, a large aerial tramway that lifts you 4,000 feet to the summit in 8 minutes. At the top, you will find a lumberjack show in summer, a grizzly bear sanctuary with 2 rescued bears, and the view back across the city to the harbor and the cruise terminal you came from. Allow 4 hours, including travel. Capilano plus Grouse is the classic North Shore day if you have the day before available. For cruisers who came for the water rather than the trees, Vancouver is the rare cruise port where whale watching from the city itself is realistic. 3 to 4 hour boat trips run from Granville Island and Cole Harbor, and the Salish Sea has resident orcas, transient orcas, humpback whales, and minke whales through the summer. You will typically see at least one species on a clear weather trip. Prices are around 140 Canadian dollars per person, or for a much shorter, much higher view, the Float Plane Harbor Tour leaves straight from the Seawall a few minutes walk from Canada Place. The flight is 15 to 20 minutes in the air, a full aerial sweep of the city, Stanley Park, and the Coast Mountains. Prices run around 150 to 200 Canadian dollars per person. A quieter option inside the city is Queen Elizabeth Park, the highest point in Vancouver, a former rock quarry replanted as a sunken garden, with views across the city to the North Shore Mountains and a tropical conservatory at the top with free-flying parrots, a short rideshare from downtown. The biggest day trip from Vancouver is Whistler, 75 miles north on the Sea to Sky Highway, the most scenic road drive in British Columbia with mountain peaks, fjord-like inlets, and Shannon Falls along the way. 2 hours each way, so Whistler is realistically a pre-cruise or post-cruise full day, not a turnaround day option. If you have an extra day on either side, it is the British Columbia mountain experience many cruisers come to see. Honestly, this is one port where the do-it-yourself plan is usually the better one. The 4 downtown neighborhoods, Gastown, Cole Harbour, Stanley Park, and Granville Island, are all walkable or one short aquabus ride apart. A guided option earns its money for the North Shore Day, the Whistler Day, or for a specialty food tour through Vancouver's Chinatown. Worth knowing, Vancouver's Chinatown is the largest in Canada, and Dr. Sun Yat-sen Classical Chinese Garden inside it was the first Ming-style classical garden ever built outside China, hand-finished in 1986 by 53 master craftsmen flown in from Suzhou. A practical trap on Embarkation Day, Canada Place runs everyone, and we mean everyone, 4 ships worth on a busy day through the same Canadian Immigration and Customs line. If you show up when boarding opens, you are going to wait. The smart play is to arrive late morning if you flew in the night before or in the early afternoon once the first wave has cleared. Cruise lines tell you boarding starts at 11, but the line is shortest closer to 1 or 2. You do not need to be first on the ship to enjoy the cruise. When it is time to head back to the ship or the airport, build a buffer and use it inside the terminal rather than rushing back from one more stop. Flyover Canada is right there inside Canada Place, an 8-minute simulated flight over Canadian landscapes if you have a spare hour and want to sit down, or just stand on the upper deck and watch the float planes taxi past while the ship gets ready to push off. Vancouver gives you a real city before Alaska, and Alaska is somehow better for it. We have added our favorite local Vancouver tours in the description below. They are good value, run in smaller groups, and they always get us back to the ship on time. Tell us how you would spend your day in Vancouver, Downtown Loop, North Shore Rainforest, the water, or a pre-cruise day to Whistler. Keep watching for the next port.